let's see what else. Let's also add a status. So anytime an AJAX request is sent, you would like to display a status of some sort. If you guys, for example, use Gmail, I'm sure you saw like a little loading or doing something label at the top. So let's do that. All right, let's put it somewhere up here. And the status is coming from A4J tag library. Okay? So running this. So you should see in the upper right corner there. You guys able? Let me see here. Oh. Maybe. You guys see it, right? A little. So it's loading. So as long as once during the AJAX request, it's being shown. Of course, it's pretty fast here again, because everything is local. And of course, you can also put the status next to the component that sends the request if you would like. If you have like a suggestion box, so maybe as you type, you can put a little status next to it as well, or page-wide as in this example. And last one thing I want to show you is skins, how you can change the look and feel of the application on the fly. So you can put it somewhere here. And so there is a lot of code here, but it's just basically a toolbar. Just a regular toolbar with a drop-down menu. Okay? These are just all the options. It looks like this. This is the toolbar. And so you can just, whatever, right, with a drop-down menu. But this is the one, all right? So these are the skins. So all of them except Ruby 2 are default. Basically, they ship with the framework. But you can easily create any number of custom skins. Okay? So notice how the whole application changes, right? And the buttons and everything. All right? So, all right. So that's the skins feature. And again, you can customize, you can override styles. So, but this is just the basic kind of changing the look and feel. But of course, you have the option to stop the polling, right? JS function actually enables you to send an AJAX request from any custom JavaScript function. All right, so you're writing your own JavaScript function, and then at the end you need to make an AJAX call so you can use this. Without this control, you would have to write a lot of manual JavaScript to make the call. And just some examples, but you saw this A4J support. Okay, a very powerful, like a universal control, always attaches to a parent component. It's never just used by itself, right? And of course, it attaches based on an event. And the parent control must support the event. Okay? And then A4J command button, and then you specify re-render. Okay? So you can also use A4J support with reach control. So for example, this is a list shuttle where you can move items from one side to another. And then right here, on list changed. So when you move the items, that's a client function, right? The server has no idea that you moved an item from one side to another. So you use A4J support, on list changed here, so when I move an item from left to right, a request is sent to the server automatically. Now, if I don't want to do this automatically, it's fine. You can move it as much as you want on the client, then click submit. It's the same thing, right? And polling, again, periodically sends a request to the server. Partial view rendering, right? That's really what gives us this AJAX feel. There is a JavaScript engine in the browser that looks at the response and updates the DOM. So number one, we can simply list the components, comma separated. We can point to a container, which means all the controls inside. Or if we don't want to specify every control, right? What if we have 10 components? We can use output panel with this attribute set to true. This means on every request, the components inside this panel will be rendered automatically. So you don't need to say anything else always on every request. Okay? And finally, you can decide on runtime. Right? You want to, if you have 10 controls, you say I want to render A, B, C, D, or so on. Of course, you need to know the IDs of controls. Okay? Partial view processing, and we didn't show it here, but it's, for example, very useful for validation. So suppose you have an Ajax-based validation. As you leave the field, you want to validate. Now, what would happen if you have a form of 5 fields, right? All of them will be validated because the whole form is sent to the server. So we can actually define which controls are processed on the server. Okay? So for example, one way is to use Ajax single equals true. Okay, this means that only that component will be processed on the server. Validation, update model, and so on. The other ones will not be processed. Or we can define a region. Okay, so a request from that region, meaning that only that region will be processed. Okay, so again, a good example is validation, where you don't want to have on blur event suddenly validates the whole form, where the user didn't even have a chance to enter anything. Okay, A4JQ, again, a very powerful feature. As I said, you don't want to have someone sitting there clicking delete or submit. So you can set a delay, for example, over 3 seconds, and if within that delay I click 5 times, only the last one will be sent, because it's basically waiting to combine similar requests. Okay, similar, and you can actually put a number of components into the same group of components. Okay, which means that if you have 3 buttons and they're all in the same logical group, and you click 1, 2, 3, only the last one will be sent because they're in the same logical group. Okay, so lots of options. JavaScript interactions. As I said, you can inject custom JavaScript if you need. For example, on submit, on before DOM update, and then on complete. So there are lots of places where if you want to, you can still write JavaScript, right? And then the rich components. So these are just the categories into which they're separated. This is a link. This is really a showcase of all the components. If I have time at the end, I'll show you. But this is really the best way to learn about all the controls. Richface 3.3.1 was just released in May, and has a number of new controls, a color picker, and a couple of layout components, which are right here. So you can define kind of a header, subheader, side panel, so footer, and then you can also have this kind of a layout: top, left, center, right, and bottom. All right. Moving forward, Richface 4.0. The biggest thing is making it compatible with JSF 2.0. So again, the last I checked this page, it said is June. They're going to have the first alpha release, but you can see on the schedule there, October is the final J. And you can actually go to this website and check the status and so on. Some of the ideas from actually Ajax for JSF were put into JSF 2.0. How Ajax works, for example, and so on. One last thing I want to show you is that how you can actually use rich faces and integrate it with Flex. For example, if you need charts, so Flex is a good technology for displaying charts.